when I drove in, they showed me into this room when this guy came in with his agent, and it was Odion Ighalo and Mario Balotelli. And it was a time when he had the fight with Mancini on the training ground, and he was banned from the training facility. And they said, well, we need your help for 2 weeks before you made that move from Man City to AC Milan. And I knew from that day on, I knew that there was legs in this.
I'm here with Wayne Richardson of Richardson Sport, strength conditioning coach. How are you doing, Wayne?
I'm all right, thank you. Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
If we strip it right back, if you had to explain to other people, what is it you do?
Where do you want me to start? I'm a fitness coach. I'm now a performance director of my own company, Richardson Sport, and we've been established since June 2010. Mainly dealing with fitness, conditioning, sports science, performance analysis, testing, and now obviously the position has kind of like gone vast, where we spend more of our time counselling players. You end up being a mentor, you end up being a father, you end up being, a bigger brother, so you're, not only dealing with that, you're dealing with not just the kind of the science and the fitness behind it, you're now dealing with kind of like being a family man, and someone that you can talk to, and it's only when things happen with footballers and athletes where they need support, where you can sit down and talk to them at a level, you find out that the job is not just 9 to 5. You find out this is a 24/7 job.
You're saying that like players don't have equipment. Is that normal? They shocked you, and is it harder for you to train them when they haven't got equipment, especially over the internet?
With the academy players, you can improvise a lot more. You can do so much more with them. I think when you then go up like more Championship or Premier League, it all depends on where they live. So some players have like big gardens. You have big gardens bigger than pitches. And you have some players that live in apartment blocks, the first year pro or the second year pro who lives in an apartment block, his kind of bachelor pad, got his nice ride, got his, his nice little pad and everything like that. And it's like, you know what, Wayne, there's a bit of a problem. I need a watt bike, or I need to order some resistance bands. You're having to think for the player. And this is what they do. This is what your club has sent you. This is the program. What do I do here? And what's this, the Strava run, and trying to set up GPS and everything like that. But now where they're beginning to stream into the players' homes, and then do that. But obviously because of limited resources, you're then having to kind of educate the players on the resources that they need to do that job while this is going on.
And you're being very modest. You've trained some big names, haven't you? Can you reel off a couple that you've trained?
The first one obviously was Mario Balotelli. And we have, Ighalo, Jesse Lingard, Ojo. Currently working with a player called Ben Berriton from Nottingham. He came from Nottingham Forest. He's now at Blackburn. There's a young player who's now gone to Norwich, a guy called Dan Adstead, who was at Rochdale. When we initially first started this, I got a call from a friend of mine. So then he said to me, listen, I've got an address for you. There's this player. He wants to see you with his agent. He needs help. I'm not going to tell you who it is. When I got there, there was TV cameras. There was everyone. There was Sky Sports News, with BBC, Radio 5 Live, Sport, or every man and his dog was there. And when I drove in, there was they showed me into this room when this guy came in with his agent, and it was Odion Ighalo and Mario Balotelli. And it was a time when he had the fight with Mancini on the training ground, and he was banned from the training facility. And they said, well, we need your help for 2 weeks before you made that move from Man City to AC Milan. And I knew from that day on, I knew that there was legs in this. And then from since then, I've always been involved with agents and clubs and trying to, have a good, relationship between the club and, the sports science support and stuff as well. So we try not to undermine their kind of like their position and stuff as well. I try and work with them, work with the club. So that was my first kind of like big shot into kind of like working with, Premier League or, like Championship players.
Recently, saw lots of pictures, and Ighalo himself was putting out pictures of you training him. How did that come about? And your business must have gone crazy after that. It went worldwide. It
was mental because leading up to deadline day, and obviously this year was on the Friday, and the deal was concluded at like 10:59. We've seen it, and there was uproar and obviously social media that who's this guy, this has been that's playing in the Chinese league and all that kind of stuff, and why United get a player like this, going after another. It was just all negativity. And then I got a call from the agent basically saying to me, 2 weeks, we want you to set up a training camp. He'll be in with you on Monday. And Monday afternoon he came. On average, Alex, he was doing probably like 3 sessions a day, in with us. One was obviously, flexibility and mobility session. The other one was obviously a conditioning session. And in the evening, he would do a ball session as well. And United, to be fair to United, they were when they realised who he was working with through the agent and stuff as well, and what he was doing, because at the time they were in Marbella. The thing was, everyone was then turning around saying, why would you let someone who's just come from China, it doesn't matter where it was, the distance between where he was and where Wuhan was is like 9 hours. But the only thing that the general public see is like, you're from China, you've got coronavirus, that's it. When United then turned around and said, well, the communications manager turned around and she got in contact with my manager, who's my partner, and we sat down and went through all. And I was in this meeting with United in Marbella, the CEO of GB Taekwondo, the head of communications at GB Taekwondo, and I'm in this big meeting saying, well, what are we going to do about it? And I'm thinking, wow, I've only brought this guy in to train. All of a sudden, these TV cameras, they had the press were disguised as UPS drivers, coming in. There was kids who were paying in to play football, but were sent in by the press, taking pictures, and they were posting them on Twitter when he arrived and things like that. I've never ever experienced anything like it. But as for a player, for him, he was fantastic. He was such an athlete. His attitude from dot one, he was on time, his training, his mental state of mind, how all of that, you wouldn't have thought that this guy was coming in, and he knew that he had basically the pressure on his shoulders. He's like you're wearing the weight of Man United on your back. And I got emotional when he started scoring and all of that happened, and then it then just blew up, and then I had everybody wanting to speak to me, and everyone wanted me to do a press release and talk to them and everything. I said, look, the agent has basically said to us, once he starts scoring, then we'll sit down and we'll talk to everybody. But at this moment in time, we're not doing any interviews. So my partner was declining interviews left, right, and centre, and saying, no, we're not doing anything because we want the guy to settle in. We want him to feel, comfortable. We don't want to start doing that, and it's not my place to say. But from a performance point of view, where I had my assistant Andy Sutcliffe, Gary Owen, who's a performance analyst, who's worked at a few clubs, but works with GB Taekwondo, and we had the guy from United who was one of the fitness coaches, athletic development coaches, called Charlie Owen, who was really good, and he was really good in terms of we sent the information across to United. They realised what we were doing. They liked what we were doing. We were talking about what he was lifting, what he was training, so we were able to send over the GPS results and say about the sessions that he was doing and how much recovery time he was doing as well, and massages and ice baths and everything like that as well. And then it became, Alex, very much like a smooth transition then, because he was able to then just go in, and they didn't not having to work with him for a month or 2 months to get him, up to peak fitness. We already had done that for the best part of 3 weeks, but he was coming back from 2 weeks of obviously doing a pre-season with his team. So he was already in pre-season training. So we were able to then give him about 2 to 3 weeks before then he was in that transition of moving in United. So yeah, it was good. That's the nice side of it. The worst side of it is when you then see academy players on a day-to-day basis getting released. Players that the dreams have been shattered because obviously what they've been told in there as well. And we've had to pick so many players up from that house, who parents are ringing you up 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning and must have locked himself in his bedroom. Can you help us? We've been giving your number. And you feel like you have a duty of doing that. That bit is the Ighalo bit, and all the stars and everything is a nice bit. You get the great kind of kudos from that. But I'm only doing my job. I like to do my job, and I like to just, don't like all the limelight and stuff as well. Do my job, do whatever is expected of me, and at the end of the day, that's how it works. And other than that, I've other things that I need to do in terms of helping the players in the future. That's the most important thing.
But on physical performance, so players are in now, and they're saying at the moment when we're filming this, they want to have the season done by the end of June. How long would players need now to get up to match fitness?
So you're going to find out that the adaptations with players is going to be quite difficult. Some players are going to be doing stuff. Some players, are not going to be able to have the facilities at their homes at this moment in time. And what you're going to be talking about is about a bit of a mini pre-season here. You know what I mean? You're going to be talking about probably about anything between 3 to 4 weeks before the season is then kind of like continued. And that is the issue that you have, because what we're then looking at is, the strains, the issues, the problems that they have, you know what I mean, of then doing high intensity work, do you know what I mean, but in small confined spaces. And remember, what players like routine. They like routine. They like going, they come in, they've got to have an end game at the end of it as well. They know for a fact that when they come in, they are training and they're playing at the weekend or they're playing midweek, whether that's European games, whether that's Champions League games, whether that's FA Cup games or it's Premier League games. They know that but there's no kind of end game with this. We don't know. We're playing a bit of a guessing game. But when they then go back, you're talking probably anything between 3 to 4 weeks before they then get back up to mainstream fitness. And that's from a club point of view. They may be fitting, within their own, like ticking over. But is it match fitness? Is it, that's the thing that we've got to, they've not played any games. And when they do, hopefully, we'll see if it's going to be behind closed doors. So it's going to be a bit of a tough one for them.
That's been perfect. I really enjoyed chatting to you, and thank you for your time. Obviously, as much as I do, you want football back as well. Everyone misses it, but I'm sure we'll check in when the season gets going anyway.
Definitely, you know what I mean? It's my pleasure, and I'm glad that I can help, and thank you for your time. Much appreciated.